Show, we discuss developments around the economy as it affects the populace. Quite interesting edition today, the last for the year 2020, and you've agreed with me, it has been an eventful one, unprecedented, if you ask me further. Today we'll be looking at a very interesting sector and segment of the economy because Proshare, Nigeria's leading financial information hub, is also known for incisive reports, and its third series of the personal finance report is focusing on insurance. So the report that came out recently is titled PFI Series 3, Investing in Peace of Mind, Focus on Insurance. And I believe that you, like me, would like to invest in something that gives you peace of mind. And we're going to look at this with two seasoned experts, one in the studio and one joining us virtually. So we begin with the one joining us virtually, of course, our regular guest when it has to do with discussions around insurance, Mr. Ekerete Ola Gam-Ikon. He's an insurance expert and management consultant joining us virtually. Good morning and nice to have you to discuss this report.
Good morning, Otto, and nice to be here.
Yes, compliments of the season once again, at least before the new year.
Thank you.
Yes, and we mean the studio.
Like I said, the year is ending. We are not ending.
Yes, you're very right. And we mean the studio is, of course, our seasoned economist, chief economist, and managing editor of Proshare Nigeria, the one that stirs up the affairs and the activities that we see these incisive and interesting reports from insurance to other sectors. Mr. Teslim Shitta-Bey, nice to have you once again. And once again, congratulations on another interesting report from Proshare.
Thank you very much, Otto. It's really exciting being in the studio at the end of the year.
Yeah.
The year is ending, but we're not ending.
We're not ending like Ekerete
as rightly pointed out.
Yeah.
It's really great to be in the studio with you, and it's great to discuss this very important report.
Yeah.
Because it leans into 2021 and the expectations we have for that sector in 2021.
Definitely, definitely. Let's get started, Mr. Ekerete. Tell us about how this report, you being involved working with Proshare, which is very interesting, the personal finance segment, how this report will help to address the knowledge gap in insurance, because that's one of the major concerns. Even the regulator, NICOM, the National Insurance Commission, has said it's working with stakeholders, the Nigerian Insurance Association, to address this knowledge gap of insurance in Nigeria.
Okay, thanks so much, Otto Basi. And then, Teslim, nice to meet you. And, we've been talking and writing, but it's nice to have you here today.
Thank you very much.
So in terms of the report, what we're looking to do with this report, Otto Basi, is to just simplify insurance. You know, generally when we talk about insurance, people say it's a highly technical area, and so people that don't want to be technical and with the technical jargons and all of that keep away from insurance. But let me tell you, insurance is like this. To some people, insurance is a profession. To others, insurance is a business. And so if it's a business which requires customers to come and pay and get some benefits, then you've got to keep it simple. So what we are doing with this report is to make this report useful for all stakeholders, and make it possible that you, Otto Basi, and Teslim, who are not involved in insurance, can read this up and begin to tell other people about insurance. Insurance is the business of numbers.
Yeah.
And so we are not even started in Nigeria. So the whole intention is to hope that this will become a tool for marketing insurance for insurance companies. This will become a tool for understanding insurance for businesses. This will become a tool for getting insurance to become more embraced, even by policy makers in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Because we've got that challenge, and I'm hoping that it will, at some point, probably be reprinted in major Nigerian languages so that it can go that deep as we begin to speak about micro-insurance.
No, and I really like your intro, the fact that you would like to even convert me very well, who is not really in the insurance space, to understand it well so I can even explain it better to other people, and also the fact that it's a good marketing tool for insurance companies and a good way of creating awareness, because like you rightly said, the gap is very huge in Nigeria and we need to really address it. So once again, kudos to you working with Proshare to the personal finance segment to develop this report. We'll get back to you now, but let's get to Mr. Teslim. Now, this year, the COVID-19 pandemic came on board and it really affected the economy. From an economic standpoint, what's your perspective of insurance serving as seen during the recent coronavirus pandemic?
Hey, thank you very much also for the question. Thank you to my fellow discussants. He's been brilliant in the areas of insurance, and I'm really encouraged by the fact that he's talking about reaching out to micro enterprises.
Yes.
And that fits into what you've just asked. During the pandemic, we saw a lot of micro businesses adversely affected.
Yes.
We have about 40.1 million micro enterprises in Nigeria, and many of these people depend on daily sales. Their livelihoods are issues of day-to-day existence. So they don't earn salaries, they don't earn weekly money, but they earn daily money that takes them through, right? This is a major issue for the Nigerian nation, as well as for the issues of security, stability, and peace that we all desire. If you disrupt those daily flows, how do these families survive? How do they subsist? And if for whatever reason there's a disruption to their businesses, are they protected in any way? How do they bounce back? So for me, 2020 was an unusual year, yes, but it was also a year that provided us with an opportunity to rethink, re-strategize, and reflect deeply on what we want to be as a nation. Because it starts from the household. How do we protect our households? The small
businesses, small businesses.
God bless you. How do we protect the small man? Is there an organized manner in which we protect lives and livelihoods of the small man? Don't forget, the small man also later becomes the big man or the middle man. Right? It's a transition. It's a transition from being a small player to a medium-sized player to be perhaps a bigger player. But it doesn't even need to be a big player. So insurance necessarily does not have to be the big man's game. The Yaloja, the person in the market,
through that micro insurance provision,
through micro insurance, should be able to gain some benefits. And that's one of the good things, supposedly, let me put it in quotes, about the EndSARS protest. It created a disruption. But for me, it's about how do we leverage that disruption to gain greater insights into how the economy works and how we can leverage that economy to protect everybody in a more wholesome manner.
Very, very wholesome manner. I mean, I really agree with you. And just to let our viewers know, and Mr. Ekerete and Mr. Teslim, when it comes to the top videos for this year in our programming, the video interview I had with Mr. Ekerete this year on microinsurance had over 17,000 views, just showing you that I think Nigerians are beginning to think about that, wow, this microinsurance thing is something that we need to see work better. And that leads me to the next question to Mr. Ekerete. Now, this report, how does it increase the value of insurance as is obtainable in developed economies and emerging markets? I mean, something that Mr. Ekerete was saying prior to this interview session, big investors like Warren Buffett going into insurance and all that. So how can it be so valuable that big investors we know in Nigeria and venture capital firms can come in more and invest and make it really, really massive, even to the point of providing microinsurance and other bigger products and even being able to pay claims as we expect?
Okay, thanks so much, Otobasi. And then I listened to Teslim carefully, and I think what I took from what he said is what my response will be. You see, we cannot run away from the fact that out there in those advanced economies you refer to, they're running a credit system. So you cannot take anything away from a shop or what have you without insurance. Okay, now that's different from when a man wants to build a house in Nigeria with his own money. He buys his car with his own money. He sends his children to the school with his own money. So it's a different system, first of all, from what we run and what they run. So let's understand that. So what we do doesn't allow us to bring insurance into it. And when you look at the situation that you raised, Teslim, with micro enterprises and all of that, don't kid yourself. These guys have alternatives to insurance. Now, everything that happened has happened. There are a lot more companies that didn't have insurance cover, you know, after the violent protest, and those that had. Insurance companies have said they are going to settle claims to over 1,000 businesses worth about 9.7 billion. But do you know that the number of businesses that did not have insurance prior to the violence and cannot make a claim today are back to business? Not because they haven't lost anything, but they are back to business because someone can give them credit. They know them. So they are back in that same market, selling to you and I, but on credit, until a time when they can pay back that credit. So that's a system that we haven't quite taken care of, you know, in terms of how do we transit from where we are to get a lot more people, you know, to understand that taking credit is not like a shameful thing. You know, because we take credit from individuals, but we don't take credit from institutions that give from our credit. And that's why insurance is different. Now, the other fundamental issue, as we speak, is that in those clients, they have data. We don't have data. You mentioned households, for example. We never can say how many households we have in Nigeria. We're struggling with that data. And for a fundamental issue like insurance, you know, you need data. And that's why as we go into 2021, one of the fundamental things that, you know, the sector will have to deal with is data. And I'm happy that we see examples. PenCom can give us data, NICOM is giving us data, but how are we then using the data for the kind of results we expect? So for me, that's the real issue, and we need to be able to help Nigerians overcome what I call the bad behavior of someone, you know, pulling a lot of money to buy a vehicle of value or build a house and not do insurance. You don't have to wait for government to come and tell you to do insurance for something that valuable to you, except you stole it. You know, so the point is also that when you lose it, where do you fall back to? The auntie and uncles that are helping us must stop helping us. Because it's a stress on them. They have now become the insurance companies of several people. And that must change.
That's very interesting. I mean, the attitudinal change is required, and also that campaign of any billionaire, any body celebrity, you know, just say, do you have an insurance package, which of course is expected they should have. And what he just said about data even dovetails into the issue of MSME's intervention in our cost of our program. Experts have said we still have challenges with data, being able to get data to even know how to intervene across board, because most of the benefits always goes to the micro, the medium, the mid-size, the large corporations, not even the micro businesses. But what he just talked about, the fact that we need credit systems, data, and even the ability to rejig the whole insurance strategy, dovetails into why we need to make insurance key into our social and economic development plan. I don't know what's the challenge in integrating it, because like I discussed recently with Ms. Ekerete, we have the economic sustainability plan. We felt that insurance should also be integrated into it in terms of ensuring that everything that happens, insurance has a stake. What needs to happen to bring insurance into the fulcrum of development and planning in our country?
Also, I think that's a great question, and I would like to thank Mr. Ekerete for his observations about the anomaly in the way we do business in Nigeria. The credit system really isn't as robust as it should be, and obviously that creates problems for even monetary policy, right? Abroad, nobody buys a house with money at once. I mean, you get mortgages, and that's spread over a couple of years. Most people go to school with student loans, and once they start working, they start paying back those loans. So it's a credit-driven system, right? We need to migrate to that kind of a system. Now, how soon we'll do that really depends on the political will of those in government, right? We need to rethink Nigeria. That's just the truth. Enough about all the platitudes about making Nigeria great and all that. Yeah, fine, we want to make Nigeria great, but there's certain basic building blocks that need to be put in place. And I think Ekerete has rightly pointed out, you know, we've got to just rejig the system and understand the importance of data. Because if I'm going to give you credit, I have to have a credit score. I have to understand your spending pattern. I have to understand your lifestyle. That is done by data, right? If I'm going to give you insurance, I'm also going to understand what the typical accident rates are in that particular line of business you are in, and in terms of the asset that you are acquiring. For instance, a generator. A hairdresser buys a generator. How many generators actually catch fire? which brand of generators catch fire more easily. So I know, oh, no, don't buy that generator. I won't insure it. Or if I'm going to insure it, the premium will have to go up because it has a tendency. So we live in a world which is dynamically integrated with data. That paucity of data in Nigeria is at the heart of why we're finding it difficult to advance as an economy, because we don't even know how many people we are. I mean, we bandy a lot of data. We're over 200 million. No, precisely how many? And of the people we have, how many of them are below the age of 35? How many are between the ages of 35 and 65? How many of them are old people and such that they are dependent? So we don't even know our dependency ratio. And so there's so many gaps that revolve around an absence of data. So one of the major things we need to do in 2021 is to see how we can integrate data. I'll give you another instance. NIMC. We had the NIMC issues. We had your phone. Yes, you had to link it to your phones. We've got data hanging all over the place, but they're not speaking to themselves.
We need to align those data.
Your passport, you put up some data for your passport. You put up data for your bank account. You put up data for your NIMC. We're putting up data all over the place, but there's no integration. So apart from generating the data, we need to integrate data. So we can now use it as a basis of planning. So I know how many people live in Shomolu, how many people live in Opobo, how many people live in Katsina, how many people. We are very clear. And I know of these people, these numbers are children, these numbers are adults, and then planning becomes easier, right? And then when you go into insurance, I know the kind of insurance that will be required for different kinds of communities. Because we haven't even talked about life insurance.
Life insurance, yeah. Very, very good.
Which, under these circumstances, where you are having so much uncertainty, it's important that people have life insurance.
Life insurance,
It should come naturally to us. But who is going to insure? Who are the people we're going to insure? Because we don't even know who they are, where they are, and what they do. So Ekerete has hit really important point that data needs to be ramped up, needs to be integrated, needs to be processed appropriately.
And he talked about life insurance and some very interesting instruments. So Mr. Ekerete, can you just give us one instance from this report? I mean, how, from true life experiences, how insurance is a financial instrument that is changing the lives of Nigerians?
Okay, Otobasi, I will take from the report one of the stories that we shared in the report, which is meant to guide especially middle-level income owners in Nigeria. So this guy has got a family, himself, the wife, and 2 other children. And incidentally, he's someone that, though he was at the time working in the oil sector, started his working life as an insurance agent. So when he heard that an insurance person was going to come do a proposal to him through the wife, he just smiled and said, "These people, I know them. So what are they coming to say that is different? I have been there and all of that." And the wife begged and said, "Please, let's listen to this person." So on a Saturday morning, she arrived the family home, and it was like an enlightenment session, more like a workshop, and everyone was there, and she took it from asking them about the kind of risk they go through every day, their fears. What are their fears? What will happen tomorrow, and all of that, and after taking that, she now started with bouncing each of these fears and risks against the kind of insurance products that were available, for the family, for the man, for the wife, and for the children, education of the children and all of that. So, and the guy was very impressed, and the salesperson left with 3 different policies that they had agreed to do. One of them was a life policy, and subsequently, when they had to make claims, it was not difficult for them to understand the language that they were speaking, because that enlightenment session had taken place. All right. So you then have a situation where in the southeastern part of Nigeria, a different story. The man, a very rich man, died, and naturally, I say naturally because it happens every day and it's still happening. The family of the husband moved in to take the property from the wife and all of that. But thanks to insurance, which the family did not know the husband had, and that the wife got paid for, flew out of Nigeria to resettle her life, outside of Nigeria, and that's how the children were able to complete their education and come to life. Of course, the family kept accusing the wife of stealing from the husband, but insurance was the quiet strength that they had. So these are the kind of stories, which is why in insurance, two things. I mean, it comes with changing lives. When you talk about insurance, it comes in two dimensions. The border on claim settlement. Now, when you settle claims, you make the life of the person, better, because you are putting the person back into the position where the person was, and the person can continue from there. But when you don't pay claims, it means that you make the person poorer. And that's the issue that I have repeatedly said we need to deal with in this industry. When you don't pay claims, I mean, how does a man give you money as an insurance company for 10 years? And in the 11th year, he wants to claim the money. You give him a paper that says he can get his money paid. And he's holding that paper for 2 years, not getting the money paid. Now, he has not only been made poor, all his plans has been distorted, and the man is in the economy. Which is why I'm saying some of the things that we are doing now by way of government intervention is good. Survival fund is good. But when it stops, what happens? You make people poorer. So that's why you have to bring in insurance in the terms of survival funds that you are giving people, so that a percentage of it goes to insurance. When you stop giving them the funds, because it's not going to last forever, when you stop giving them the funds, they can lean back on insurance and say, hey, the savings that we have been keeping within the last 3, 4, 5 years, can we get some back? Insurance companies give loans to policyholders, if you must know. And so these are different things that happen in the context of insurance that people need to know, and I'm happy that we capture some of these things in the report, so that when you read the report is in very simple English. There's no insurance jargon there. It's informative, it's educative, it's empowering. So when you read it, you will now know how to engage whoever comes to you to do insurance. Don't wait for your auntie or sister or nephew to call you and say, come and do insurance, and then you are helping the person to meet marketing targets, when you should know that insurance has got value for you. And that's why you also have to take time to do insurance in the absence of the regulator still trying to get it right with how to deal with people who are owing claims and all of that. Then make sure that you ask questions and do insurance with the right insurance companies.
I'd like to ask Ekerete a quick question.
Okay, Mr. Ekerete, Mr. Teslim wants to ask you a follow-up question, then I'll get to him. When you're through, we just answer. Based on what he has said, how can we then unlock the immense opportunities in the insurance sector that can attract investments into it in the country? Again, it drives to policy.
Now, Ekerete, my quick question is this. Given the fact that we know we have challenges with communication, of communicating supposedly complex concepts, how is the insurance industry collectively, as private entities, coming together to market insurance at the micro level? Because if we can get it right at the micro level, all the other levels are a little bit easier, because there's a little more sophisticated level of reasoning concerning insurance and their understanding of insurance. How do we get it to the micro level such that it is as easy as Babalajo, like you talked about, those credits, those supporting credit structures that kick in immediately they have problems? Can we get insurance collectively as an industry to market products that meet those needs at the micro level?
Teslim, thanks so much for your question. Quite unfortunately, the only way we can do it is the way we are doing it now, through the reports that we are doing. The insurance companies, the insurance industry, they know the problem, but you see, nobody wants to deal with that problem, and I'll tell you why. The insurance companies are only interested in making money. That's the truth. Now, in making money, they forget that the man who is informed is more likely to give you more money than the man who is not informed. Exactly. So we are still paying old age insurance, if I must put it that way. Where, by law, people are required to do insurance. When something happens, somebody is praying that something happens, then you understand why you need insurance. No. You see, the insurance companies are also beginning to see this as a gap that they must fill, which is why a few years ago, if you may recall, the insurance companies came together and said they were doing something called a rebranding project. Of the insurance industry. However, why it wasn't quite successful is because the insurance companies have different challenges. There are companies that have money and they are looking for markets to do their business. There are companies that don't have money to push and even contribute to such pool of funds required to do the campaign. So they prefer to go on their own and speak to those that they can speak to do their business. So you find out that there isn't any organized manner of doing it, which is why in a recent discussion with Otobasi, I said if insurance companies could come together and say 1% of our profit every year, let's put it aside and give it to someone that knows how to do it. You don't know how to do it, agree, accept, it's not a shame, but let's engage someone that knows how to do it. What they did last time was, yes, they thought they gave it to someone who knew how to do it, but mass market communication is different from just trying to communicate with an elite group.
Yes.
All right? So in doing this, you would be talking about engaging the market people who go around right now collecting money as your agents to communicate this message, which is why I say this report, we must begin to put it in local languages and people can give it away to people after different sessions, and communicate it. So that for me is the way to go. There is no need for insurance collectively coming together to try to do it. They don't know how to do it. Communication is a problem for insurance, but we have people who know how to communicate, who've got the passion to communicate it. Let's engage them and do it. I'm not the only one who speaks insurance in Nigeria. We have a lot more other people who do it. Let's get into a room and talk about how to do this thing and get the result. Look, the fundamental problem is that we haven't even agreed on what is the critical issue.
Yeah.
I personally believe that the critical issue is that insurance contribution to the GDP is low.
It's low, yeah.
But somebody's other concern is that the insurance company, my company, is not making what it should make on NNPC. Oh, I want to be on government account. Nobody is going into that micro market that you're talking about. And the people that are trained right now are working in insurance companies right now are not trained to do markets, to do those micro markets. So even as they've gotten the micro insurance window to deal with, we are watching to see how they will play it. They might just make it look like, oh, the AGM that is being given that opportunity has got a car, he has a department, everybody's going to the markets and coming back. No, it is the marketers in the market that have to be engaged. Why would supermarkets in other parts of the world sell insurance, and then we're not selling insurance through supermarkets in Nigeria, and we expect to deepen insurance in Nigeria? Those are the kind of things that we are not doing that we should be doing to make the difference. There's no need trying to protect insurance and make it look like a profession for some people when the opportunity to promote it is there.
Yeah.
So even with what we are doing, we are all trying to, from a regulatory point, continue to say it has to be for insurance professionals. We don't even have a good number of insurance professionals to deal with all these situations. So that's why we have to, in some sense, open it up. What we need to do, and the opportunity is going to come next year, a lot of partnerships will happen. People that have control of large number of people are going to have to speak with insurance companies. Insurance companies are going to have to speak with them, not with a view to taking over those numbers, but working with them to give insurance to those numbers. So that's what is going to happen going forward.
So you just want to add in terms of unlocking the opposite from what he said, like the low GDP, the low contribution level.
Yeah, I think Ekerete he's spot on. He's hit the mark in the last set of comments he's made. If we're going to unlock the GDP, the contribution of insurance to GDP, we're going to have to get communicators to talk. And those communicators are not necessarily going to be sophisticated insurance personnel. They're going to be people who are in the marketplace, who talk to people who are also in the marketplace. In other words, I've done it. I've benefited from it. This is what it can do for you. So they speak their language. They speak to themselves in their language. And gradually, we're going to see that insurance become an increasing part of GDP, because we had, like I said before, we have 40 million small-scale industries, right? Small-scale businesses. Now, with that kind of number, actually patronizing insurance at a micro level, the contributions will improve, because the small companies actually are the largest contributors to Nigeria's GDP. So once you build in insurance into that framework, then obviously the insurance contribution to GDP will also increase. And like you rightly pointed out, at the retail end, for instance, I want a hairdresser takes a loan and she wants to get a generator or she wants to get a hairdryer. And built into that loan is insurance.
Yeah.
So if we continue to make that a theme at the retail levels, I think over time, we should begin to see an improvement in the premium to GDP ratio that we've been experiencing.
Definitely. And Mr. Ekerete, just in 1 minute or 1 minute 30 seconds, can you just tell us the prospects for insurance in 2020 and beyond for Nigeria? I know you wrote about insurance in 2020 and beyond, 2021 and beyond, around recapitalization, like insurtech and building trust, like you said, claims settlements.
Okay, so we've spoken about the, I would now say the usual issues of recapitalization, insurtech, digitization, and all of that. But you see, the issue of trust is fundamental. And it's so fundamental that right now, insurance companies that are looking to do business in 2021 have concluded on their reinsurance. They've gotten their reinsurance cover, they submitted it to the insurance commission, and so they are ready. But you will find out that there are some insurance companies that have not been able to conclude. And so it's not the issue of recapitalization, it's really the issue of, do you have a reinsurance treaty cover to be able to do business next year? So that is where it starts from, and that's where the issue of trust comes in, because as an individual, and looking at the report that we have pushed out, you need to be able to trust who you are dealing with. So how do you trust who you are dealing with? By knowing what the person has in terms of capacity to respond when an issue comes up. It starts from reinsurance for insurance business, which is, I have gone to buy reinsurance cover, so if something happens, I have a fallback position. All right? So I would expect that as we go into next year, we're going to see people dealing with financially strong insurance companies, and the level of awareness that we've discussed will heighten. Insurtech has come to stay, but there's a lot of work to do. It's a lot of learning that we must do, so that we understand that technology continues to be an enabler. You do not do what you are not doing. If you are not paying claims, technology will not come in and start paying claims for you. If you are not marketing people rightly, it will not happen. So the issue is investors are looking for insurance companies that are technology driven. And when you talk about recapitalization, for example, I said once that if insurance companies are repackaging their companies as technology companies, they would have gotten the money by now to recapitalize. And from a regulatory point of view also, but that said, there is still a lot of work for the regulator to do to create an environment where insurance business thrives.
Yeah.
So,
that is where the foreign companies, they are used to working without too much regulatory control.
Yeah.
So they want to come in and express themselves, and then I'm happy that some new companies have been registered. So let's see how it goes from there.
Definitely.
But next year is certainly going to be a fantastic year for insurance if we will, look at the opportunities a lot more than the burden of recapitalization and claims.
Yeah. So, Mr. Teslim, you want to have your closing thoughts too?
Yes.
On
a quick note, I'll wrap up here.
Yeah.
First, I want you to discuss the AFCFTA, which is about to commence, and how it's likely to affect the insurance business in Nigeria. That's the question I want you to answer. But my wrap-up thoughts are basically that we should not waste a crisis. We've had a tumultuous 2020, and it's thrown up challenges, but it's also thrown up immense possibilities. And I think that we should emphasize those possibilities and de-emphasize the challenges. Because the truth of the matter is that, Ekerete has said it at the beginning, the year is ending, but we're not ending. So we're going to have to continue to ease into that year and make it a much better year than we experienced in 2020. That's my last thought.
So definitely. Mr. Ekerete, just in 30 seconds to speak on the AFCFTA and business, at least I can get the key takeaway from both of you, that we must leverage opportunities and not the challenges.
So the the after matter is not something to speak about in 30 minutes. What I will just do is I will do an article on it.
Okay.
Okay. But to then deal with the issue, you find out that the real 5 pillars of the whole arrangement, represents opportunities for insurance in Nigeria. But again, it comes back to what is the regulatory response to this, to create an environment where insurance companies, especially the ones that are transnational, can take advantage of it. So we will speak more about this, both in terms of the writings and I'm sure in the days to come as we enter 2021. Thanks.
Yes, thank you very much. I mean, the major takeaway here is that there have been challenges, like we've seen the COVID-19 pandemic, the recession, and even the fallout of the protests, the NSAS protests, which really affected businesses and households. But the major thing is that insurance, the industry stakeholders, regulators need to work together to explore the opportunities, improve communication, and unlock those opportunities in a way that it can contribute to the gross domestic product of the country. And most importantly, integrate it into our national economic and development plans. And like the Ekerete said, we need to improve data. Data is very key. We need to take cognizance of the fact that we need to run into a credit system, a system where we can engage the insurance, like we see in pension and all that. And this brings the issues of trust and accountability. And to all insurance key players and operators, paying your claims, claim settlement must be very important, must take it seriously to continue to build trust from the policyholders and the entire nation. So thank you very much, Mr. Ekerete Ola Gam-Ikon. It was nice having you to discuss this latest report. Proshare, apart from other things, produces very robust reports. So it was nice having you being part of this. The Personal Finance Series 3, Investing in Peace of Mind, Focus on Insurance. Thank you for bringing your thoughts on how we can really boost the insurance sector and increase awareness in Nigeria. Mr. Ekerete Ola Gam-Ikon is an insurance expert and a management consultant. Thank you once again, and I can now leave you to enjoy the rest of the last day of 2020 with your family and friends.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
In advance. And Mr. Teslim Shitta-Bey, thank you. I mean, the year 2020 has been, like you said, challenging, but through it, Proshare, with your leadership of the editorial and the research team, has been able to work seriously, producing reports. And of course, this one is part of it. I mean, providing intelligence, market intelligence and insights. And we look forward to more of that in 2021, which will be quite demanding too. Yes, thank you, Mr. Shitta-Bey, Chief Economist and Managing Editor of Proshare. Thank you. And to all our viewers, it has been an interesting 2020. We look forward to a very flourishing 2021. Thanks for being part of the Economy and Politics Show throughout the year. And this is wishing our viewers a good way to end 2020 and a very prosperous 2021 ahead. But to read this report, this very intelligent and incisive report, go to our website, www.proshareng.com, scroll on and check on the insurance segment. When you open it, you see the report and download it and read it. At least it can help you as part of your New Year resolution to value insurance and explore the products that you can use to help you in the future as a good financial instrument. That will be very good for you. You can also follow Ekerete Ola Gam-Ikon at Ola Gamola and Mr. Teslim Shitta-Bey at Teslim Bey on Twitter. Follow us at Proshare and also at WebTV NG to get further developments and reports on analysis around the economy space. Till we come your way again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Stay safe and have a pleasant closing of 2020 and happy 2021 ahead.